Now, in North America, we can't talk about great collections, museum collections of Himalayan art without actually bringing up the Metropolitan Museum of Art in Central Park in the middle of New York City. Now, the Met, for short, has a very large collection. Their Indian is really very good too. Indian stones. Overall, it's one of the better collections in the world, more comprehensive. It's not nearly as good, of course, as possibly the Rubin Museum of Art for the breadth and depth of variety and iconography and styles, but it has very, very good art, and it has a real large number of real masterworks. But I want to only talk about four pieces right now, and these four pieces are actually textiles. Um, the earliest is dated to the 13th century, and it's actually Yuan period China, and it's a type of mandala, what we might call mandala-like. It's a depiction of Mount Meru and the four continents as a textile. So it's quite symbolic, and it has so it's done as a circle within a square textile, and the corners of the textile have decorative motifs, vine work, floral vines, and vases, long life vases. The center is very, very well done with a lot of detail for the four continents, and then the two subcontinents, or the two islands that flank each of the four continents. And it has a lot of detail within those continents, and they're also keeping to the described shape that we find from the Abhidharma Kosha of Vasubandhu, the younger half brother of the great Buddhist scholar Asanga. So that's the first Yuan piece. Really brilliant, brilliant. Not shown very often, as you know, textiles are more sensitive to light, and you have to be more careful. Museums often, if they do show textiles such as these, then they often have to rest for 6, 7, 8 years before they can be shown again. Now, the second one is also Yuan period of China. All of the four textiles are Chinese, but they're all done in Himalayan art style, which means it's coming from Tibet, and it's also strongly influenced by Nepal and by Pala, India, and a little bit maybe by Kashmir. So the second one is actually a mandala of Vajrabhairava. I can't tell you which tradition. It might be the Shang tradition. I'm not sure the tradition of Vajrabhairava, because of course we have many traditions. The Kyo, the Ra, Anushparma, Rakshita. We have many different traditions, and the mandalas can change. They can have different numbers of figures in it based on different traditions and how they interpret the original Mahabhairava, Vajrabhairava Tantra. So we have this Yuan period. It is most likely Sakya, coming out of Sakya, but Sakya has many different Vajrabhairava traditions. So it has a register at the top and a register at the bottom. Teachers, a short teaching lineage at the top. The bottom has two donor figures. Some people like to think that it's Kublai Khan and his consort. I'm not an expert on this, so I can't say. But they often compare it to a portrait of Kublai Khan, which I believe is in the Palace Museum in Taipei in Taiwan. So, but I'm not an expert. Then in the four corners, just below, above the lower register and below the upper register, we have four additional forms of not Vajrabhairava, but Yamari, not Yamantika, but Vajrabhairava is in the middle, and then we have four forms of Yamari, Krishna Yamari, and one Rakta Yamari. Okay, now the next piece is quite recent. It's really 18th century, and it's a large format piece. And I've only seen it once, and I can't remember. It might have been 20 years ago. It might have been 25 years ago at the Met, and they had it hanging. And it's a absolutely stunning textile depiction of Manjushri. Now he's depicted as gold, so it's possible he's white or he's orange, depending on which text was used. But it's coming out of either the Bari Gyatso or the Druptap Gyatso or the Patsap Gyatso, one of these derived texts from the 11th century coming out of India, and mostly coming down through the great scholar Abhaya who is responsible for many, many traditions that are in Tibet. And he was an abbot. I believe he was an abbot at Nalanda. I'm not sure. He could have also been an abbot at Bodh Gaya, because I think he has also the title of Vajrasana, which is usually a title for an abbot, a senior abbot of Bodh Gaya at that time. So what we have is this absolutely beautiful Manjushri, relaxed posture, and he's seated on just a brilliant blue lion. And it's like a little bit like a snow lion, but also a little bit like a Chinese foo dog. These sort of dog type figures that you see so commonly in the Gugong Palace in the Forbidden City of Beijing. You see many of these cat-like, dog-like animals. Now, what's also fascinating is in the lower left corner, we have a very small figure of what appears to be Sudana. And this is Sudana out of the sutras, where he is told when he went to visit Manjushri and went to visit the Buddha, then he was told to go and visit 50 different teachers, some renowned, some not. Some are Ratki Devi even. And so he went and saw many, many different people. Manjushri is one of the most important, and also Samantabhadra and Maitreya. So we have this very small depiction of Sudana, the boy who wanted to learn about the Dharma. And so he was sent around to talk to different teachers. Now, the fourth one is actually Tibetan. It's not Chinese, sorry, in terms of ethnicity. It's a Kurukula, and it's done in a very, very typical Tibetan style. I can't really say what the size is. It looks to be of a little bit larger size. But it's a nice image of Kurukula with 3 wrathful protector deities at the bottom. So these are the 4 textiles of the Metropolitan Museum of Art that stand out as masterworks, and they cover a broad range. They cover the 13th century right up to the 18th century with 4 different examples, and well worth to spend a few minutes, spend some time looking at. We will try and get better images of some of these. I think some of them, we have some low-res images of them. So we'll leave it there. You can press the like button. You can subscribe. You can join HAR on Patreon. And you can help support the work we do. You can also make a donation on the homepage of Himalayan Art Resources.